John, how you
Hey,
doing, brother?
hey, Caleb, nice to be talking to you. I thought I'd be talking to Batman, but it's just a fellow Canadian. What's up with that?
Come on, I tried to tell him on the island, I'm not this vigilante here. Just Canadian.
Now, with,
45.
with so many Canadians doing so well on the show, in the recent seasons, did you feel any pressure when you went out there that looking at the past track record?
You know what? The reason I applied was because of being a Canadian, right? Was
Yeah.
that 41 we had a Canadian who won, 42 had a Canadian who won, and 43 they didn't even cast one. So I go into the casting, I'm like, this is classic America. I was so mad. I was like, I got to go out there and right the ship. And unfortunately, my season got ended a little bit too early. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. But it was, I tried to make some memories and still be, a strong player.
Now, you were a massive threat from early on to everyone on so many levels, whether it was strategic or social. Did you ever think about, you know what, maybe I should just fade into the background here? Or, am I saying like you never got that chance, really?
It was hard to get that chance. I also did try. Like I tell you, people were talking about this, and I'm at home with my family and friends, and it's like I could not. I've never seen myself smile less. I'm not trying to make that many jokes. Like I literally tried to rein in as much as possible, but people saw through the smoke. I just tried to focus on one-on-one relationships,
Yeah.
and even with that, it just kept coming up on the radar. I don't know what it's so I got something I got to figure out.
Now, you formed a special relationship with Emily, and you took the time to establish a bond with her when everybody was kind of avoiding her. Tell us a little bit about your relationship and what brought you two together, because it was interesting to see.
To be honest, what was not shown is I fell in love with Emily the same time a lot of people did. When she's yelling at Bruce on that bat, I'm sitting there, I'm watching this, I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. I have to work with this person. Like Abby Maria is like the best person who I imagined. This person who everybody wanted to target. It was even better than a meat shield, and I could just hide behind her the whole game. That was my hope. But the thing was, those first 3 days, she wanted nothing to do with me. I was selling her all the time, and she was just like, had this in her head that I was working with Sabaya and I was going to try and get her out. And it was really only once Emily hit rock bottom and literally almost went home at that Hannah Tribal Council that she became open minded to the idea that she might not know everything.
Right.
And in this case, she became very humble. And you know what? Emily's one of the smartest people I played with. She had great instincts, didn't always know how to execute them. But working together, she was able to see once she realized that I was on her side, that we could actually have like a long term relationship.
Now, you mentioned Bruce. You guys had an up and down kind of relationship. What was he like out there as far as your perspective is concerned? Are we seeing any exaggeration, or is that Bruce?
I can't speak for Bruce outside of the game, but
Yeah.
inside of the game, I think it was fairly accurate, which is too bad because, I did everything in the textbook that you're supposed to do with somebody like a Bruce. I listened to everything that he said. We traded personal stories. I wanted him to be the leader, but he was so steadfast and, strong, like, one track minded
Right.
that it was very, very hard to actually play the game with him. And it's only after this I would have every season of my life I would have said I would have loved to have a Roxroy, a Philip Shepard,
Yeah.
one of these people. But you know what? I got to give people like the Philip Shepherds way more credit because Bruce was impossible to play with, and that's just how I felt, and that's what it looks like so far on the show.
Now, we watched you do the raid, and you were fairly successful at that, and then you had to come back. Now, do you think that harmed or helped your game? Because when you came back again, I think that made you even more of a threat to people. Because, like, look at this guy. He went on a threat, and look what he was able to do and what information he was able to bring back.
That I think is maybe some hindsight,
Yeah.
perspective. I think when you watch the show, they were talking about me as soon as I left camp, right? So yes, I really went out there and thinking like we don't have the numbers, you guys.
Good.
We need each other, and I'm gonna get whatever information I can and bring it back here and see what we can use with this to be able to get through the next stage of the game together.
Right.
And I think Sabaya particularly, and then also Sean, just was so concerned about the end of the game when they didn't know how to get through the middle.
Now, were you surprised? I mean, obviously, you don't get to see everything on the island, but when you come back, you can, watch the episodes and learn a little bit more than what you knew out there. Were you surprised that Sabaya was turned on you as she did?
I still, I've had conversations with her. I
Yeah,
think she really believes that taking on her biggest threat, like the biggest threat on the board, is the best thing to do. And I think that it's part of the challenge I had with multiple people in this season was that people didn't register their own threat level in the scheme of this cast in this game. You look at somebody like a Bruce, you look at somebody like a like a Sabaya. I even thought that of Austin. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like these people who are big threats. If you take me out, you'll be the next biggest threat and the next person for everyone to gang up on. And so I didn't understand it strategically, but I think right now for season 45, she stands by the move. However, maybe she might change her perspective if she ever comes back in a future season.
Now, you said in previous interviews that, all the things you've ever had in your life, you weren't really qualified for them, but you were qualified for Survivor, but you managed to make your way through. Let us tell the viewers a little bit about your background and how some of that background does apply to Survivor.
Yeah, I mean, like growing up, I was never, never let anything really stop me from putting up my hand because at the end of the day, if you can produce, usually people don't mind. Like
Right.
whether it was becoming a lifeguard at 16 years old, having never passed swim lessons before, and just going right into the coursework and figuring out just by being an athlete. Whether it was starting a painting business at 17, having never painted a house before, and ending up starting a Christmas light business and a security business and having looked at 21 direct reports by the time I was graduating university, which paid for my schooling, paid for my living, paid for all the fun that I was having. And so I was just a guy who, I didn't know everything yet, but I'd always be able to figure it out. And that's kind of what I stood on and kind of what I tried to play through.
Now, I asked this of all the survivors because obviously we only get to see so much, of what goes on out there. They have to edit it down. Is there anything about your journey, like a moment, maybe a strategic moment, a bond, or anything like that, did you wish the viewers were able to see and they didn't get to?
I think that just how paranoid and how early I was of Sabaya in that pre-Lulu game,
Yeah,
or pre-jury, I think when Brandon gave her the beware advantage was the big red flag to me.
yeah,
Because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, she's close with Brandon. She's close with me. I know she's close with Sean. Like, Sabaya can get me out anytime that she wants to.
yeah.
So it became that much more important for me to grab Emily and to vote out Brandon, who I actually would have done the same thing with. But with Sabaya not having a vote, I felt like when I really started to take control of that tribe. And, knowing this ahead of time and then going into that third vote, not getting Ember and bringing it back so Sabaya couldn't get her vote from the Reba raid. Like just kind of thinking through some of that stuff. I thought that was pretty good stuff strategically. And then, I always feel like at Mergatory, you know, number one, wish we had an advantage in like my smaller group of people that I trusted. But number two, I just felt like, I really didn't think I was pulling people in. Like there wasn't like one-on-one conversations.
Right.
It really was just group conversations. But I just feel like when you talk to me, it's like it's just animated and this banter and this fun. And I just feel like that was an insecure feeling for somebody like Bruce. And I don't know, what are you supposed to do? I'm not going to say no. I don't want to talk to you guys. Like people just come up to me. That's not exactly my game or my strength. In the world or in the game or outside of it.
Right. Now, one final question: as a member of the jury, what what comes into your mind when you're going to be, deciding on a winner? What things are important to you, Kaleb?
The most important thing is that we have the best winner for our season.
Right.
You'll always look back and be excited about a season that had a great winner. And
Yeah.
so I didn't want people to hold too much of emotional grudges, and I didn't really want them to vote just purely based on someone they worked with for one or two votes. I want us to try and look at the big picture, and try and do the best thing. And you know what? The reality is everyone has a different definition of who the best, like what is the best player, and that's okay. But I just wanted people to make sure that they thought it through, and we would debrief and we would talk about talk to the person who came home and give them a soft landing spot, but then get into the bottom of what's actually going on in this game and who should we give some more credit to that maybe we aren't seeing.
Well, Kaleb, it was great talking to you. It was great to see a
Always
fellow
a pleasure.
Canadian on the show and represented very well. can't wait to see you on the finale. And who knows, maybe your Survivor journey isn't over just yet, Kaleb. But all the best to you, and can't wait to see you on the finale.
I appreciate it, brother. Always a pleasure. Knock on wood for me, but yeah, we'll see what happens, right?
Absolutely. Take care, Kaleb. Have a great day.
Cheers, my guy.